I moved out. My aunt was getting married, and she married into a very fun family, the Riveras, and they just kind of welcomed me with open arms when I came out for the wedding. And on the flight and the ride home, I said to my mom, you know what, Mom? I'm moving to California. She, I told her we were up in the air in an airplane. And she said her heart just was like, what? My aunt that I moved out to essentially to be with, she had a really good friend named Mary. I became friends with Mary also. Mary had a brother named Tony, and we ended up dating. And it just, one thing led to another, and we hit it off. It was very funny. We were married for 5.5 years before we had our first child. And I did go through certain fertility testing. The last test that I went through, she said, now don't be surprised if you become pregnant, because it happens a lot. And just waiting and waiting and waiting, and sure enough, we ended up becoming pregnant with our first boy, Tonino. And then he was a year old, and we were celebrating his birthday, and we announced that we were pregnant again with our second child. But I lost that baby. I went to the doctor and I said, I think I had another miscarriage. I had that jolting pain and everything, and the doctor did an ultrasound. He said, yeah, you did. He said, you miscarried, but the other one still has a heartbeat, so let's hope for the best. I'm like, what other one? And sure enough, that was Vinny. That was our second son, Vinny. So I went through in my pregnancy till the almost the 9th month, and I was applying anti-stretch mark cream, and I found a lump on my left breast. And I went and had it sonogrammed, and it came back, it's definitely not a black milk duct. They didn't know what it was. So I had to have it biopsied. But I'm a pregnant woman. Nobody wants to do the biopsy. So my doctor decided in his office, he's like, get the aspiration needle, Trish, his nurse. He comes out with this thing, and I mean, it was like a long thing, and he's like, this won't hurt. But it turned out it was highly suspicious. And he said, we have a choice to make. Should we take the baby full term, or should we deal with this now and go from there? But the start to Vinny's life was already a little precarious, so I said, let's take him full term. The first thing we said was, does it have red hair? Because my other son, when we said, is it a boy or girl, the doctor said, who do you know with red hair? He was pulling him out. My husband's like, who do you know with red hair? And he said, no, it's a beautiful boy, the full head of black hair. Daddy, do you want to count the fingers and toes? And Tony counted his nice 10 fingers, and he stopped at 8 with his toes. And he was kind of like, something's wrong here. He went in and had his first surgery the day after he was born. And the nurse herself called me and said, he really wants to be part of your family, because he's fighting like crazy. He woke up a couple times during the surgery. He's extremely strong. And I remember thinking, you know what, if he's going to be that strong and keep our family together, I'm going to be that strong too. So that's kind of where it kind of got put in my head, no matter what happens, we're going to stay together as a family. I had thought I would go in and have it taken out. It would not hit any of my lymph nodes. Everything would be perfect, because my mother-in-law had just gone through this the day before. So my husband was dealing with his mom and his wife having breast cancer at the same time, not to mention his special needs child, newborn, 3-month-old at this point. So when I went in, I woke up in the recovery room with a drain coming out, because I had to take out all my lymph nodes, a 7.5 centimeter lump. It was crazy. It was just, I realized then it was not stage 1. I was not getting off easy. So the first time around I went through chemo, and it was a harsh chemo, very harsh. And before I started, we had a party with Dom Perignon. My girlfriends came over and we cut my hair. Actually, I let my oldest son cut my hair, because I wanted him to understand that it's just hair, it's okay. But he was just fascinated to have the scissors. He just was so excited to have the scissors. And then we went wig shopping. It was so much fun trying on all the wigs. You have so much fun, you forget why you're there, which is a good thing. I had radiation also. And then I had a complete hysterectomy. Everything had to go. The end of 2010 came, and my niece was getting married, and we were very excited, all getting ready for her wedding. And I went in to have what I thought was pneumonia taken care of, and I went through 4 rounds of antibiotics. My good lung looked, like it should, and it was all pretty and stuff with the nice, veiny things going through. And then the bad lung, you could see like all the fog in there, and the lump that was in there and things like that. And he said, we'll have to have a biopsy done. And I said to him, do you think this is it going to be you think it's cancer again? My regular doctor called me in and he said, is Tony available to come with us? This is to get the results. So on the way in, Tony said, Sweetie Love. He calls me Sweetie Love. He said, Sweetie Love, I read this story in the Inquirer once, and this guy was having all kinds of problems in his lungs. He couldn't breathe. They thought it was pneumonia. They thought it was cancer. They thought it was all this stuff. And it turned out that he inhaled a pea seed and a pea pod was growing in his lungs. He said, maybe that'll be you. Maybe you inhaled something from the artichoke plant out back, and we can make money from the Inquirer, and this would be really neat. I'm like, thanks, Tony. So we get into my doctor's office, and I said, Dr. Vo, Tony read this story about this guy who inhaled a pea pod. Do you think it's something like that? And he kind of was trying to smile, but he kind of got tears in his eyes because he's known everything our family had already been through, and he knows us really well. He said, no. He said, it's cancer, and it's pretty aggressive this time. We need to get on this. So back when I had the cancer the first time, back in 2006, I was looking for something to explain to my children why I had to get a lumpectomy, what radiation is, and chemotherapy, how it was going to affect me and stuff. So I looked all over for something, and I found a couple of them online, but most of them were for older kids. And in the one, the mom dies, and I was hoping for a different outcome, obviously. So I thought, when everything was done, I had nothing to share with Tonino, so I wrote my own. So I called it When Mommy Loses Her Hair, It Means the Medicine is Working, because that was a big thing that was told to me about the chemotherapy. Why do we lose our hair? Well, when you lose your hair, it's a good sign because it means the chemo's working. What it is a conversation between Daddy and little Tony, a little 4-year-old boy, and he's asking questions about Mommy's cancer and what does this mean? He overhears the big words. And it just explains what all the steps are towards treatment for cancer and how it does affect not only the mommy or whoever it is, the grandmother, an aunt, it can be for any family member, but also how the kids can help and how they can kind of get involved, bringing crackers and cookies and water and just, reading Mommy's stories and hugs and kisses and things. Tonino was still fairly young, but I know now, I can see him every now and then picking up and looking at it. And it's him in the book, it's the red hair, And then Vinny always insists that he's under the bed here, like in this one, or he wants to be a part of the book too. Well, let's call him Vinny today when we read. Okay, now we have to, little Vinny. At the end, it does talk about faith and how it's the best medicine. It's stage 4, he said, and I'll tell you, it's incurable. It's manageable, and we will treat it. It's treatable, but it's incurable. It's not something that's just, unless, a miracle happens and,
You believe in miracles?
I do. I absolutely do. I still think I'm still going to have one. I do. And I feel like if you don't live that way, in my position, you are asking for trouble. For one thing, we have a very strong faith. As Catholic Christians, we are very, we're devout. We go to church, every week, and well, when I can, obviously, being sick and things like that. And so that was top. That was number 1. I ran our vacation Bible school for 3 years, and now I'm running the Olympiad this year. And it's fun getting involved, staying involved, with the kids and things like that, and the other parents. And our church family has been amazing also. Dinners are set up, and I get cards all the time, and just reminders of that I have people praying for me. Honey Badgers started because I have a group of friends who decided to just come in and take over my care. and they do. They come to all my doctor's appointments with me, and chemo, and all kinds of stuff, and bring me lunch all the time and things. And the honey badger is the strongest animal in the animal kingdom. That's what I am. I'm strong, and I can take a lot. It's 5 of my girlfriends, and I don't know. We just, we stick together, and they're the ones who make the fun times really fun. We went to the Price is Right. And we had on bright pink t-shirts that said in black, the bucket list. And then it said Price is Right under it with a check mark, like it was checked off. That was for me, because now we have this big thing with the bucket list. I'm so lucky to have who I have in my life and to have the setup that I have. I have my mom, who's incredible, just amazing. takes care of my kids when I'm, unable to do it because I'm, sick from chemo or from, at a doctor's appointment or whatever. And then my husband, who's amazing. He's a big man with big shoulders, but I didn't realize how big his shoulders were until the shit hit the fan, pardon my language, but until all this stuff started coming down. He stepped up and just his strength and stuff, it was contagious for me. He really is my lobster, and my kids. There's probably, a girl out there my age who doesn't have the support system that I have. And God's probably up there thinking, okay, we need to give out a certain amount of cancer to people. Yeah, I'll hit the Calfo chick before this one because she can handle it better. She has, more resources in this. And I kind of feel like that's how things went. I thought, okay, I'll take it. Just, again, what else are you gonna do? Are you just gonna, pull the covers over your head and cry, or, are you gonna go out and live and make the most of what you got? My prognosis is 2 to 5 years. So, but I'm not a number. So, and I don't think the people who gave that out know me or know my family or know my friends, because they're not going to give up. I can tell you the honey badgers are not going to just roll over with this either. So.